You're in the Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant, national insurance columnist and financial color commentator. And today with me and all this week, Tom Hegna, #1 author of Paychecks and Play Checks on Amazon.com. You can get your copy. Stay tuned, we'll tell you how.
When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. We're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial advisors right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fund. And with me, day 3, Tom Hegna. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thanks, Steve.
I have to say, the last 2 days have been somewhat illuminating to me. It's not that I didn't know what you were saying, but I think you have a way of saying it, expressing it, articulating. And I've never seen, I have to say, the virtue of SPIAs. I thought it was a dead asset because nobody wanted to use it because the interest rates were so low. This book, Paychecks and Play Checks, is somewhat revolutionary for retail clients.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why it's #1 in our financial section on Amazon.com.
Yeah, what's interesting, Steve, is almost every day now I get an email from some client somewhere around the country who says, boy, where were you 30 years ago? This has made an impact on my life. So I do think it's impacting people's lives. Again, because it's based on math and science and not somebody's opinion. I think that's what's critical.
Well, I think what's going to happen here is when we're going to do the book, and just like anything else I have on this show, if it has any edge of controversy, it shouldn't, but it will. And we're going to be comparing that. That's what we're going to talk about today. You talk about this 2 classifications. Now, you've used this phrase now in your book, and you've also used it twice on the show, Monday and Tuesday show. And if you've missed any of our show, hop out to our show, www.brokersalliance.com. When you hit our homepage, just hit On Demand section, just click on that button and it'll put you right to the prior shows, Monday and Tuesday. I think it's better if you really watch the first 2 shows, get a little up to speed. But he talks about, Tom, you talk about optimum, right, versus suboptimum. And we're not talking about, I was thinking about, when he first heard this, I thought about Transformers, the movie, right? You know, when you said optimum prime, you know, the prime optimum use for this is SPIAs over, not at the exclusion of, but over variable income riders and index income riders.
Yeah, I say those products are suboptimal for taking longevity risk off the table. I show where they fit. I said, yesterday, I love variable annuities. Most of my money's in there because I haven't found any place in the world I can invest my money that gives me more upside with lower downside after fees. But here's what optimal and suboptimal means. Suboptimal does not mean it's bad. It just means it's less than what it could or what it should be. And so when I say this is the optimal way to retire, that it means that it will be the best more often than any other solution will be the best. It doesn't mean it will always be the best. Like somebody could do better in some other way, but the odds are they're going to do worse. And so that's all optimal and suboptimal mean.
Well, I think also you got to put in the plate, this issue of a client's risk tolerance right now is so profound. It has changed the psyche of the baby boomers. Listen, us who are of the ARP nation, I have to say, we're reserved. We're conservative. The country is going to the right on financial conservatism. And this is an expression of that, maybe the optimum expression of it.
Yeah, but I also say if you cover the basic expenses with guaranteed income, which includes a SPIA, includes Social Security and pension, then you have to optimize the rest of the portfolio. And I say optimize with inflation in mind because inflation is a long-term threat. So this is where the VAs would fit. This is where the index annuities could fit. This is where gold and silver, whatever other people are buying, real estate, that's where that fits. And so I'm not saying don't use index or don't use VA. I love VA, but they fit here.
You own it yourself.
I own it myself, but they fit in the optimization. See, index annuities and variable annuities were always built for growth, not for income. They're being sold as income, but they were never built for income. They were built for growth. And then they put the income benefits kind of as a guarantee, a sub-guarantee, so that you would weather the ups and downs in the market. That's really what they're there for. And when you compare the payout of a SPIA versus these others, in almost all cases, the SPIA payout is going to be higher and is going to be optimal because of the mortality.
Let's walk through this because now we have 3 choices. We're talking about the optimum use of your money using SPIAs. We're talking about suboptimal, not negative. It's just that it's a second priority.
It's just less.
Second priority of VAs and index. Now let's talk about VA first of all because I'm Series 724, been around forever in the 80s. I'm looking at when they invented variable, I totally buy into what you said. It was an accumulating vehicle, tax deferred. Let's not pay taxes on this. And the fees and everything else were actually not as bad as everybody made it out to be, especially if you throw in the mutual fund SAI report, which nobody ever brings up.
Right.
But let's just say when I brought on income riders, and they said wherever your high watermark, however high your account gets, that becomes the demarcation line. That's the line we use. And from now on, income, whether your actual account value is lower than that number becomes that number. And there's where it is. But that has some bit of risk to it.
Yeah.
Because people who got into VAs late, their high watermark is their original funds.
Right.
Or less.
Right.
So talk a little bit about the risk there.
So here's why I love variable annuities. Because, and I have my chapter in the book on VAs is called Insure Your Investments. Because if you think about it, when you buy a VA, you're simply transferring downside market risk to the insurance company. See, here's what I found about people in the market. People love to be in the market when the market's going up. They just don't like to be in the market when the market's going down. So is there a place I can put my money where I can get much or all of the upside without the downside? And that's what the VAs can bring. Now, there's different benefit riders. I like the guaranteed minimum accumulation benefit rider. Nobody talks about it, but that is a cash guarantee. But the other guarantees are these income benefit riders. But again, they're there to give you peace of mind and comfort that even if the market plunges, well, at least I'm going to get X. That's what it's there for. At least I'm going to get X. Not that, oh, I'm selling this because you get X. Well, X was supposed to be kind of the worst case scenario.
Let's just kind of go down controversy lane here. I mean, if we're going to go this far, I might as well just do it. If I sat there and I thought to myself, I have a VA, I'm wondering if I should think about by the time I go to income, right? I may want to be able to say, should I 1035 this to an SPIA or not? When we come back from the break, I want you to answer that, because that to me is a hot tamale topic, which people I think are not ready to talk about. I think that could be controversial. Well, remember, you can contact me at the show right here at thebiz at brokersalliance.com, or just call me toll free 1-800-290-7226. And don't forget to watch this show and all our shows right on our website at www.brokersalliance.com. Right after the break, I'll have Tommy answer that controversial question.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Companies in our business are always touting service, products, and underwriting. And we do that too. But here's the difference. Now enter the world of the elite producer with a value package that cuts us out of the pack. A BD that approves social media marketing of non-FINRA products and doesn't take an override. With the best competition desk in the industry, and for our loyal producers, a true group health plan. No one offers that. Brokers Alliance does. Well, welcome back. I'm Steve Savant, host of the Business Insurance Zone. Of course, with me is Tom Hegna all this week. And if you've missed any of his shows, hop back out to our site, www.brokersalliance.com. When you come to our on-demand section, just hit the button and watch our previous shows. And remember, any of the strategies we talk about on the show, and they have anything to do with tax ideas, always check in with your tax counsel. And if you're FINRA licensed, always check in with your compliance department. Just a little heads up, our own compliance department on our BD is really benevolent. They allow us, without taking haircuts on any of our non-FINRA products, they allow us to write in social media and so forth on annuities and life insurance that are not securities. I think that's a pretty good thing, and I think that's a new one. At least that's new to me. I looked for a broker-dealer for a long time for that. Well, we are talking about a security right now, and I am security licensed, so heads up. Variable annuities, we're talking about the income rider. Right now, I'm trying to go back if I was taking income on my VA, on my high watermark versus an SPIA in the 4 out of the 10 loser years of the last decade. By the way, 2001, 2, 3, and 2008, 4 of the 10 years. This is the worst time in our lifetime where we've seen that. I would love to know the modeling, right, between VA risk and SPIA risk during this last 10 years. Because that, to me, is a great snapshot of the worst scenario. Well, maybe not the worst, but a terrible one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, before break, you said, should somebody, flip the income benefit switch on their VA, or should they 1035 exchange it into a SPIA? And I would say before you flip that switch, you want to look.
Right.
You want to see which will give you the most. And here's what I think you'll find. If we've had a bull market and you bought low and the variable annuity did pretty well, you'd be much better moving that into a SPIA. And I think that's what you'd find when you ran the numbers. If you bought it and immediately the market started heading down, well, you're probably going to be better off flipping the income switch on the VA. But my point there is all these things are being sold on these income benefit riders when those income benefit riders were really always supposed to be the worst case. They weren't supposed to be what you're selling. That's, if the market goes to you know what and you know what, well, you've always got this. But the story of the VA is a place that you can weather the ups and downs, and over time it should go up. That's the story of the VA.
Well, I'm amazed, but let's just go back to your first part because I know I'm going to get email on this. So if I took my high watermark number, which a lot of these are at 6 and 7% in the contract, and I hit the high watermark and I ran those numbers for lifetime income, and I said, instead, because it's been a good market, I'm going to 1035 the VA into a SPIA. My SPIA would did I hear you right? Would probably more than likely outperform the high watermark even at 6 and 7.
Yes, I said in a bull market.
Yeah,
that's what,
right.
Because remember, the 6 and 7% isn't the cash value. You can only 1035 exchange the cash value.
Correct.
And so what you've got to look at is what is the income benefit amount versus what is the surrender cash value. But in a bull market, the surrender cash value should be the same or higher than, or the same as the income benefit rider. And then because of the additional mortality credits, the person got older, they'd almost certainly have a much higher payout rate using a SPIA than flipping the income switch. And a lot of people don't realize they're going to have a lot of SPIA sales in the future because eventually we're going to get through this bear market and eventually we're going to see a bull market. And when we do, many of these people who sold indexed annuities and VAs will become the biggest SPIA producers that we have.
Now this is a big heads up. We need to be able to go ahead and look at both models. Should I switch on the VA or should I push this over to an SPIA? And I am shocked, even in my own thinking, that, hey, SPIAs could
absolutely
possibly beat the VA day in and day out in a bull market, as you've qualified. So I just want to give us a heads up. This is another idea. This is an alternative. When you come to retirement planning, I like to know what are my all-in options. Put them all on the table.
Right.
And Tommy, I'm telling you, you're putting an option on the table I have not heard in years. We're going to compare our VA high watermark income to a mortality credited lifetime SPIA and see who wins. And we're saying, you're kind of suggesting, hey, you're going to be surprised. The SPIA is going to come to the table, even at these low interest rate markets, and win.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, I'm not pushing the SPIA.
Right,
like if the VA won every day, I'd be saying the VA won every day. If the indexed annuity won every day, I'd say the indexed annuity. I am product neutral as far as that concerns. But what I'm saying is the math and science is clear. And so let's do the run on both of them and see what's best for the client. And I believe if we always do what's best for the client, we're always going to make the most money.
Let's just shift gears real quick with our time remaining. Now, we were talking about VA income riders, Tommy. What about, though, index? Because now index, I don't have the high watermark issues.
Right. But you don't have the downside either.
I don't have the downside either.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that, because if I was using the same 2001, 2, and 3 and 2008 years, right, those would have been flat, right? And so I didn't really have, I'm trying to see where I'm going to go on that. Is it the same thinking? I'm going to have to measure it and flip on, I might be able to flip on the SPIA.
Yeah, you got to measure it. Now here's the deal. With the indexed annuity, you're not going to have the upside potential that you have with a VA. You're just not. But you're not going to have the downside either. And so you're going to be in a much more narrow range. And with the indexed annuity, you also got to look at surrender charges. How long are those? Because you don't want to be subjecting people to unnecessary surrender charges. So I think you're going to find a narrower range. But again, the older a person is, I think these indexed annuities that are with income riders that are being sold to people 70 and above, very suboptimal. And those that's the age range where they should be selling the SPIA. You see, younger people, maybe the indexed annuity. Older people, the SPIA is going to win right out the gate.
Because your thinking on this is all based on mortality credits. The older my client is, the mortality credits are going to win the day against most VA and index income riders. I mean, that's what we're saying.
And that's the facts. It's not an opinion. Those are mathematical, scientific, and economic facts.
Well, I tell you what, if you say, Steve, I'd like to see that, and you want to say, I need some modeling, just call me at 1-800-290-7226. Actually, I'd rather have you write me, thebiz at brokersalliance.com. Well, don't forget you can watch this show and all our shows on our on-demand section at www.brokersalliance.com. Just come to the homepage and click on it. And remember, that's the buzz on the biz for today. Get in the zone, the business insurance zone.
The Business Insurance Zone is produced by Brokers Resources Audio Video Online, the media division of the National Insurance Clearinghouse, the marketing arm of Brokers Alliance. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.